Welcome back to day 5 of the 30-day coding challenge. Today we're going to be building this interactive rating component. If you're new here, hi, my name is Zoe. I'm a software engineer and former university professor who loves teaching folks how to code. If you're interested in starting a career in web development, check out that first link in the description below. But without further ado, let's hop into day 5 of the challenge. Alright, so this is the component we're trying to build here. It's just a simple ratings component that will allow you to submit a rating. You see there are some active, some hover states here that we need to add in there. And then it'll actually tell you, once you've submitted the rating, which rating you submitted. So here it says you selected 4 out of 5. So there's a little bit of JavaScript logic that we need to add in there. But yeah, pretty straightforward. Let's go ahead and get started. So I've already gone ahead and spun up the app here. So we just have our base Material UI, Next.js, TypeScript app starter. If you do want to use that, you can just check out that link in the description below. I'll leave it linked down below. But yeah, solely free to use starter kit. And if you do want to actually follow along with the design and do this for yourself, you can check out Frontend Mentor. They have the challenge there on their website. Again, I'll link that down in the description below. All right, so first things first, I do have some base styles baked in, so I always like to comment those out or just completely remove them entirely. So I'll do that, and then I'll create a components folder. So let's say components, save that, and close these two, and then open up our main page here. And so looking at this component here, it's pretty straightforward. I think we'll probably have maybe like a component for these little buttons, and then just this larger like rating container. I think that's how we're going to do it. So let's start with the rating container. So I'm going to create a new file. I'm going to call it ratings container TSX, and I'm going to go ahead and turn that into a box. Save that, and then I'm going to import that onto my home page. Cool, save that. Awesome. So got that started, and we can see we have ratings container there. The other thing I need to think about is the color. So there is like this black that we're going to be using here, I think. Yeah, looks like that's the black there. So I think I want to grab that color, which is, oh, it's a gradient. No, that's not the color. I don't think it's a gradient. It might actually be this color. Yeah, I think it's going to be this color we're going to use for the background. So I'm just going to drop in my globals file. I'm going to say I want the HTML and the body to have a background color of that. Of that. And there we go. We have our background color set. Actually, I don't think that's the correct background color. I think it's actually this one. Let's see. Usually they have like a design like swath, but I guess they don't have it for this. But we can go with that. Let's go with this color. I think that's probably a little bit closer. Yeah, that's definitely. Actually, let's go back to what we had before. I take it back. I think what we had previously was a little bit closer. All right, so let's leave that alone. Just the background color, not that deep. All right, working on the container now. You see, we have this lighter. I mean, still a dark blue, but it's like a lighter dark blue. It's kind of the color we were just looking at there. And yeah, so it's that black gradient fill. I don't know if we need to do the gradient. We could do the gradient, but for me right now, what's important is just getting the color. So I'm just gonna, again, grab that color. I think this is the right color for that background. It's like a top to bottom, bottom to top gradient. And we're just gonna set the background color to that. So we'll say background color is going to be that. Cool. And we're seeing it up there. Perfect. And then I want to position this on the page. So I think what I'm going to do here, I'm going to say display a flex for the outer box that's holding it. And then I'm going to say justify content center. I'm going to say align items to be also center. And then I'm going to say height, not center, center. Yeah. Height is going to be 98 dpi, because usually it needs some sort of height in order to properly center. All right, cool. So now we have our container right in the center, which looks good so far. Next thing I want to do is start to think about these inner elements. So let's take a look at the padding. So it looks like there's about 32 pixels of padding all around, or about 2 rem. So let's go ahead and throw that in there first. So 2 rem of padding all around for the radiance container. And then we want to go ahead and drop in these different pieces here. So as I said, I'm probably going to make individual, like a reusable button component, because there's going to be some interactivity there with these buttons, I think. But I think the rest of these I can probably just do as individual imports. So let's start with this star logo. I did drop in the images from the that, like, when you start the challenge with Frontend Mentor. So this is already here. So I can grab that and use that in, I'm gonna copy the relative path, use that in this container here. So we're gonna use the image component from Next and just drop in the source here. And then we'll give it an alt. We'll say star logo. And then the height is going to be 48, and width is going to be 48. We'll save that. Cool. And okay, so it's just the star. It's not necessarily the background as well. So actually, I think the star is only 16 by 16, and then we'll have to add that that, like, you see the circle here. We'll have to add that in ourselves. So we can do that. So the fill for that is this dark blue color. Let's grab that color. So then we'll just wrap this in a box, and we'll say background color is this. Do that, and then we'll just say the border radius is 50%. And there's probably some amount of padding as well. We should take, yeah, padding is 1 rem. Okay, cool. Not bad so far. So we have our little logo there. Cool. Let's move on to our first typography element. So it says, how did we do? About 30, it's probably 2 rem or 35. Yeah, it's probably 2 rem plus the line height. So we'll add that in underneath. We'll say typography. We'll say, how did we do? And we'll say font size is 2 rem. And now you can go ahead and customize, like, the theme and things like that if you want to really bake this in. And I would recommend doing that if, you know, this is something you're going to add to your portfolio. But as we're just doing it quickly, we can add in our just font size here. But yeah, you can customize the variant if you really wanted to sort of be very specific about it. All right, so then next one is this body, piece of body text here. So we'll say add another typography element, and we'll throw that in there. Also, I think we want to make this one a little bit thicker. So we'll say font weight. So let's give it maybe a 600. We'll start with that. And this one also has a slightly different color. So let's see if we can grab that light gray. We'll say color is going to be that. We'll save that there. Perfect. Let's take a look. We need to fix the typography import because this is not a client-side component. All right, cool. Awesome. Looking good, minus the logo. The logo's a little bit off, and the color. So let's fix those two things really quickly. So let's set this color to white. I'll say FFFF. And then the logo, let's see. Oh, you know what? I think I'm just going to set the height and the width. So height is, what is it, 4 rem? 4 rem? Oops. Three rem. Height and width are going to be 3 rem. Okay, not bad. I think maybe we also need to display flex. And this is just trying to fix up the logo here. Okay, and yeah, it looks a little off. So this is 48 pixels, 16 pixels. Maybe there's too much padding. Let's take that out, see if that makes a difference. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. So we can go with that for now. The other thing I want to do is sort of set the size of this larger component here. So width is 412, height is 416, and that's this container here. So we're going to say width 412, height is 416, and we're also going to set the border radius to be 30 pixels. And yeah, that looks pretty decent. I think we got it right there. So save that there. Awesome. I'm not totally convinced this is the right color for the background, but I think probably we need to go with the lighter. Since it is a gradient, maybe if we go with the lighter color, we'll get better visualization. Yeah, that looks a little bit better. All right, cool. So we'll go with that. Then the next thing we need to do is add in these buttons. So we have the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 button and the submit button. So I think, yeah, I'm going to make a new file. I'm going to call it ratings buttons.tsx. I'm going to, or should I do individual? I don't want to add too many components, but I think it would be useful to have a container for these and then map through them and then have the individual button as another component. So we'll say rating button. Cool. And so the button itself is just going to take in a number, and then on click or on hover, it's going to change. On select, it's going to also change, but then it's going to pass up whatever that value is back to the this like main component, so we can say you've selected whatever out of whatever. So that's basically how the whole thing's going to work. So let's just start with the design of the button. So we're going to start with let's try a Material UI button, see if that works. Okay, and ratings buttons, const buttons. I'm just going to make an array of buttons for it to map through. So I'll say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we're going to return buttons.map for each button. Turn rating button. Okay, and then it's going to be label equals button. Whoops. Button, and then we'll go into rating button and ask it to take in a label. And we're going to say interface props. And again, you can do this without the TypeScript, so you don't need to do all this typing. But if you do want to do it, you know, it's good to get in the practice. All right, and then we'll say label. And then we will take the ratings buttons and drop them in the ratings container. Yeah, because I was going to map through them here, but it seems like it's getting a little bit crowded. Oh, it's not invalid. Ah, okay. So let's do this. Okay, so maybe we don't have the ratings buttons. So maybe we skip this and we just have rating button. All right, so let's skip that. Let's go back into the container. We'll say buttons, and we'll do this in this container. It's probably actually going to be easier in terms of passing around the state. Oh, and it needs a key. Will also be the button. Okay, cool. So that's good. We're going to delete ratings button. Yep, because we won't need that anymore. So ratings container, rating button. And we'll get rid of that because we don't need it. All right, cool, cool, cool. Yeah, this is probably going to make it easier to pass the state around anyway. So we have the buttons and we have, there we go, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can go ahead and style them up a little bit. So we want this to be our background color. I think it's that dark blue. So let's grab that color there. So we'll say background color is going to be this here. And then we're going to say the actual color of the text is going to be this light gray. And we're going to grab that. And that looks good. And then we're going to say width is 51 pixels. Height shall be the same. Border radius will be 50%. Cool. So we have these nice little circles. And what else? I said 100%. Okay. What else? Oh yeah, then we should have some spacing between them. I think what I'll do, actually, I'll drop them in a box here, which is probably what I should have done with the ratings container, drop it in a box, but anyhow. We'll put it in a box here, and then we'll say display flex, justify content space between. And that should space them out nicely. Perfect. Cool, that looks good. And then I'm gonna add a little bit of margin. Where should we add in our margins here? 32. I think I'm gonna add in the margin to this typography element. So I'll say margin top bottom is gonna be 24 pixels, left, right, 0. And then we'll add in some margin here, or we'll add in margin to the logo box. We'll say margin bottom 30 pixels. Looking good. What else? And then we need our submit button as well. All right, so let's go ahead and create the submit button. So that's just I'm just gonna use just a regular button, Material UI button, and just style it. So let's say button, and then we'll go back and fix up the ratings buttons to do everything we need to do, because that's gonna be the bulk of our work. So we'll say submit, and then the background color is gonna be this orange. Going to be that. And the text color is going to be very dark blue, as they've labeled it here. Cool, looking good. And then what else do we need? Let's say font weight is 600. And then I'm gonna give it, oh, that's interesting. Margin top, I think, is gonna be 32 pixels, yeah. And then let's say width 100%. Yep, looks good. And then the corner radius is 22.5. So say border radius is 22.5 pixels. Looks pretty good. I think we just need some padding in here. And maybe the text could be a little, well, the text looks okay. Maybe it's not quite 1 rem, maybe it's 0.75 rem. Okay, cool. And that doesn't look too bad. I think so the next thing we want to do here is check out our interactive hover states, right? And we can go through and kind of tweak the exact pixels and stuff like that. But I think it's important that we actually get the interactivity going. So on hover, we want the background color to change, or is it on select? Let's see what they're saying here. On hover, I think we want it to be orange. On select, I think we want it to be white. So on hover, let's grab this orange color and add that as an option to our rating button. So we'll say, back in our rating button component, we'll say and hover. We'll say background color is going to be orange. Let's save that. That's in, yep, background color is orange. Then we'll also need to change the actual text color to dark blue. We'll say the color is going to be dark blue. Oops, dark blue. Cool. So that works. Awesome. I think these also could be a little bit thicker. So we'll say font weight is going to be 600. Okay, cool. Looking good. The next thing I think we probably want that same interactive hover color on submit as well. Or no, submit is already orange, so we just want the white. I guess white on hover. Yeah, because they're showing us the two different hover states. All right, so for the submit button, we'll say and hover background color is going to be white. And I think this is already the correct color. Yeah, that looks all right. We'll leave the color the same. Okay, cool. So that looks good. Last thing we want to do is give a selected color. So now to know which one is selected, we're going to have to interact with our state. So we have our list of buttons. I think we're going to want to use state in this component. We're going to say const selected set selected equals use state. And right now it is null. I'm going to have to probably change this, definitely change this to a client. So we'll say use client. Save that. All right. So right now, nothing is selected. However, we want to pass in set selected to the rating button. And we're going to say set selected is going to take arg. It's going to take a number. That's a type of a number. Our arg. It doesn't like that. It's a number. We're going to actually, let's start by setting it to 0. Cool. Again, all TypeScript stuff. If you don't want to do that bit, you don't have to. Just make it a JavaScript file instead, or a JSX file. All right, so on click of this button, we want to call set selected with the label, because that's going to be the number that we're setting. Really, it should probably be the rating. I should probably change this to rating. And we'll change that rather than the label, because it's like a data value, you know. So we'll change the name to rating. But yeah, we're gonna set the selected when we do that. And so then, if, let's see, and then I guess we also want to pass who is selected, like which one is selected, equals selected rating equals selected. We'll say selected rating is a number. Cool. And then we want to say if rating and selected rating are the same, then we want to do something with the colors. So for the background color, we want to say selected rating equals, or rating equals selected rating. If so, we want the background color to be white. If not, we want it to be the regular color. So let's try that and see if it works. So I should click here, and it does. Okay, so it works. It sets the selected. So that's exactly what we want to happen. So that works. And then the only thing I'm going to do here, I'm going to do the same thing for this, for the actual text color, so that it stands out a little bit more, like in the design. So we'll do that. And there we go. So when you select it, we're set. Cool. So that worked, that little state situation we did there. The last thing we need to do now is build out this final page. So once we've selected and we've hit submit, we want it then to show with make this next component visible. So I'm gonna call this the thank you container. So we'll say thanks container, because thank you container is a bit long. All right, and I'm already seeing some things that I could have done differently, but we're gonna keep moving ahead for the sake of time. But one thing I'm now looking at, I'm like, I could have just made the same container rather than I'm gonna end up making the same container twice, and like copying some code, so don't do this. But you could have just made like a larger container for these two containers to go within. So we're gonna use a box here. Import that from Material UI. Perfect. And then on submit, we want to show thanks container. So how will we trigger that? I think we could potentially trigger it up here, but I think it might give us a problem with state. Let's see, if I make this a client component, what happens? Okay, so far so good. Let's see if this works. So we'll say const submitted set submitted. Oops. False. So we're going to ask here, submitted. If yes, we want to show thanks container. If not, we want to show ratings container. And I think that should work. Although I think we're probably missing. Yeah, that's going to be challenging. No, I don't think I need to do all that. This is actually, I'm overcomplicating things. So I don't need to make a whole nother container. I can just say thanks message. And I don't need to copy all of this. I can just say within the ratings container, there we go. I'm gonna say const submitted set submit use state, and it's gonna start with false. And if it's false, we want this bit. Yeah, this bit here. So we'll say submitted question mark. If submitted is true, we want thanks container or thanks message. But if it's false, we want what we had previously. And oh, it's giving me an error because I think this needs a parent component, parent tag, I should say. Okay, cool. And then what I really could also do is just put this in, like that whole thing in its own container. But we'll optimize later. So we'll say thanks message, thanks message. That way we don't end up duplicating as much code. All right, cool. So that looks good. And submitted is going to be set by this button. So we're going to say on click, set submitted to true. Submitted is true. Oh, I made it all disappear. Why did it all disappear? Let's take a look here. Oh, you know what? I think I know what I did. I got rid of it entirely here. It didn't stand a chance of showing up. All right, let's get rid of that. I was wondering, I was like, what did I do wrong? All right, cool. Perfect. All right, that's exactly what we want to happen. Let's go ahead and finish up this thanks container. So first things first, we need to put in this image. So we'll grab image from next image. And the source for that is going to be here. Yeah. Copy relative path. Alt is going to be receipt, I guess. And then height is 108, width is 162. 108, width is 162. Cool. So we have that. I should probably, yep, we have that. Awesome. And then we also want to set this to be display flex, flex direction column, align items to the center. So that's good. And then we have two pieces. We have like our message here. So you selected 4 out of 5. So let's do this. So we'll make a little typography element. Actually, we'll make a box because it looks like it has a bit of a border. And then within that box, we'll make a typography element. And it's just going to display selected rating. Selected rating. then we need it to okay, it's going to display that. So it says you selected 4 out of 5. You selected out of 5. Cool. And then the color is going to be that orange. Okay, good. Good. And then the background is going to be this dark blue. And I'm assuming 22.5, border radius. Okay, cool. And you can kind of barely see it. Let's see if we can make it a little bit more visible. Okay, that's better. Cool. All right, that looks a lot better. Awesome. And then I'm just gonna add some margin, top and bottom. Looks good. And then this heading here, we'll say typography. To rem. Outside of the box. And it should be white. And also about 600. 600, cool. And then we'll do the same one here. So we'll say typography. Color is going to be light gray. There we go. Save that. And we're going to say text align to the center. Cool. Looks pretty good. And yeah, I think that's pretty decent. We can add some more, we can add a bit of space between these two. Same margin. Oops. Top border. Awesome. I think I'm gonna make the container a little bit shorter. And now for the final test. Oops, I made it a little bit too short. Let's see what happens. So I'm going to select 3. We're going to hit submit. And yes, it's working. You selected 3 out of 5. So it is working. We've got it going. So we've passed in our state from our buttons. We've passed it over to our sort of thanks message. Now there are a few ways you can go ahead and optimize this. As I said, you could probably drop all of this that are in these little empty tags. You could go ahead and drop that in its own container, in this own component, and then sort of clean up the component there. there are a bunch of different ways you can definitely optimize this, but as far as just getting it up and working, getting it up and running, this was a great first start, and I would encourage you to go ahead and build this project because it's something you can definitely add to a larger website as you're building it out, which, yeah, hopefully you'll build something like that by the end of this challenge. So if you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button. If you want to see where this challenge goes, feel free to hit that subscribe button, and I'll link the rest of the videos in this challenge up here. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.